Helo a croeso I podcast rhif 34. Hello and welcome. I just couldn't remember what in there. I'll try that again. Let's try again. Hello and welcome to the podcast. Fuck. I'm getting distracted.
To the podcast. Fuck.
Podcast. Fuck. Okay. Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast number 34. It is 34. This is the third time I've tried this. It is podcast 34. Hello, a croeso I podcast rhif 34. That's what effed me up the first two times. I forgot what number it was. It's 34, I'm pretty sure. And that rhymed. Hello, my name's Gareth Evans. And I'm joined by Mr. Henry Baffled.
Get on with it.
Henry Baffled Cooper. I've done it. I've done it, man.
I think that's probably the most accurate name you've come up for me so far.
Henry
Baffled
Cooper.
by whatever the hell you're doing.
Today we're going to be talking about some gaming stuff. A lot of monetization around the news at the moment, so we're going to be kicking off with how companies are dealing with loot boxes and the strategies that they've employed to try and get around legislation and just adjust what they've got in terms of loot boxes. Next, we're going to talk about Borderlands versus Baker Part 2. That's Troy Baker, the actor.
So long and quotes and just to
brace yourself. Don't start yet. Don't say it yet. Pause.
Corporate
pause
sassiness. That's what it
Henry's
is.
going to be taking that one, and he's obviously a bit more than baffled.
It took so long to read it.
Next up, Esrb is a scam, an absolute scam. It's a total scam.
Doesn't come as a surprise.
It's a total scam. And then we're going to be talking about, we're taking questions from the Discord, which is the Patron community, the community of people who support, bring us this, help us bring you this concept. This is going to be a great podcast, isn't it?
Jesus Christ.
Should we start all over
it's
again?
going well, bloody hell.
We'll carry on. We'll persevere. And lastly, we'll take in some YouTube comments, or reading YouTube comments, including the triggered fanboy comment of the week. And it's a juicy one this week. I already have it ready to go, and it's awesome.
Right, let's start this thing off. What are we talking about first? Monetization or something cheerful?
Yeah.
More companies being shit? God damn it, why can't they just behave?
People rely on us to talk about monetization. As tiring and taxing as it is for us, they enjoy it. So we've got a burden of responsibility now.
These companies need to stop doing it so we can stop talking about it.
Yeah, obviously we're trying to keep you up to date with all the shenanigans and things. So
that's our burden to bear.
Yeah, that's our cross to bear. We're talking about Rocket League and another company. I'll go into just a second. But they are finally removing loot boxes. They announced back in August that they were going to go before the end of the year, and finally they have announced the details. Now, the new system they're going to be using introduces blueprints. So the blueprints that you will get in Rocket League will drop after a match. You don't always get one. You'll just get one every so often or whatever. Don't know exactly how often they drop. So when you get a blueprint for a new item, you can then pay to create it. So you might get a blueprint for a stupid hat on your car, and you don't get it unless you pay to make it, and that's when you get it. That takes away the loot box or loot crate element. So you can't completely ignore them. That's what they're fucking advertising now. You can completely ignore them, let them stack up in your inventory. Ignore them, apart from the fact that they flash on your face every time you get one. Apart from that part, you can't ignore, right?
It's a loot box without the box part. It's still random loot that appears. You don't have to open the packet and it goes, fireworks and confetti.
There's no paying for keys, right? Because that's how it worked. So they're also introducing a new premium currency called credits. And talking of keys, that's what they will replace. So you used to get loot boxes and used to buy a key, stick your key in your loot box, wham bam, thank you ma'am, surprise mechanic.
Right, yes.
Right? That's how it used to work. Now the keys getting replaced by actual money, premium currency, I should say. So it's in-game money. So you buy premium currency, and with that premium currency, you change your blueprint into an actual item. So there's no boxes, done away with boxes, done away with keys, and this is how it's going to work now. So,
right.
Yeah, it's quite straightforward.
It's a weird workaround, but it does, I'm struggling to figure out that this isn't still a loot box, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's not random in terms of, it's kind of the same thing, right? You get a random reward at the end of...
But you don't actually get it until you pay for it. So you know what you're paying for.
You make a good point. You know what you're paying for before you get it, essentially. So that's how they're getting around it, right? But you do get a random reward which you can but you can get a stack of them. See, so you're not limited. So you might get like 20. You might have 20 blueprints in your inventory at any one time, and you just choose what you want and you pay for it, which is a fairer system if you're gonna pay for stuff in games than just one crate, stick your key in, and you don't know what the fuck you're gonna get. Because if you want a certain cosmetic item, if you want a certain thing, then it's a random chance is a lot worse than actually just paying outright for what you want.
So you're playing, you do a bunch of matches, you get a bunch of these blueprints, and then you have like, I don't know, 12 items in your thing, and it's like, don't like that one, don't like that one. Oh, I quite like that one.
Stupid banana hat. That's the one I want.
That's the one for me. I want to look like a dickhead in my little Matchbox car.
Exactly.
Okay, I think I'm with you.
Yeah.
Still not sure how behind it I am.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. So all the keys that you've currently got will be like transferred into premium currency or credits. They should have come up with a better name.
They
always come up with a stupid name, don't they? Well, no. You think about the ghost coins, whatever.
Well, yeah,
that was their premium currency.
But that's a shit name as well.
So they should be like Rocket Juice or Rocket.
Yeah. Or
Rocket Sparkles.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Sparkle. I like that. Rocket Sparkles. I'd be more likely to buy Rocket Sparkles than credits.
What's it called when a plane's in the sky and it's the trail? What's that?
The plane trail?
No, there's a word for it. I can't remember what it is.
Smoke. The white line?
Yeah,
the white line.
Yeah, by the white line. So we're going from gambling mechanics to drug dealing mechanics.
Brilliant.
You'll know what I'm fucking trying to say.
Yeah, the white line.
The white line fever.
They sell some white line in Rocket League. I'm sure there won't be any scrutiny at all. Anyway, let's move on before we get demonetized. That was with my script. I didn't read it out with enough emotion. But before the update and take the crates away in December, right? They're bringing one special last Vindicator crate in October, which drops a new car. So it's like, oh yeah, we're going to do away with these loot boxes. We don't like the loot boxes. They're bad. These loot boxes are bad. But before we do, we've got this very last special offer on this very last one, this very last loot crate ever. We'll bring this Vindicator crate. This is absolute bullshit, right? If they actually didn't believe in loot crates and they believed that it would be detrimental to the game, they wouldn't be advertising this one last one. It's bull. Just get rid of it.
We're shutting our casino down because we don't think it's moral or anything like that. It's so corrupt. But before we do, here's a big blowout, 50% off poker tokens and stuff.
So hypocritical. But the actual reason for removing them, according to them back in August, were, and I quote, "We are dedicated to creating the best possible experience for our players all over the world. The best possible experience. In pursuit of that goal, later this year we'll remove all paid randomized crates from Rocket League. So just before you get the best experience, have this shitty experience just as a last one. Just one last shitty blowout experience before we go to the good experience." That's so fucking.
I'd love to see
undermine their own.
I'd love to see them try and market this as like, yeah, we're going to remind you of how shit it was, and then we're going to show you how good it really can be. So they're going to set the bar even lower. The thing is, I enjoy Rocket League. It is fun, but the loot box system is just it's the same bullshit.
Yeah.
But they're doing this extra one. It's like, come on, you're better than this.
They are all cosmetic. You can just ignore them. We know the arguments. We've listed them all this week. We've gone through them all. Okay, we know them. You don't have to tell us that. So that was the reason. That and something to do with the fact that there's a regulation. That was the reason they're removing them. That because they want the best possible experience. Plus, like obviously there's regulation. Belgium, Netherlands are regulated. Possibly the UK now, following the UK Parliamentary Commission doing that report, and also in France they did the same kind of thing in their report last year. And also Psyonix, who are the creators of Rocket League, were bought by Epic Games earlier in the year, and this system is kind of more like the way Epic want to do them. I'm guessing. This is how Epic are trying to bring their games all in.
Yeah, like a corporate nudge.
But let's not forget this game is still pay to play, $20 or £16.50 or something on Steam it is. So yes, they've taken away loot boxes. Fair play to them. Pat on the back. Kids aren't aren't engaged in these gambling mechanics anymore. But there's still microtransactions in a full price, half price game. Let's say. So how much credit did they actually deserve for this move? I mean, I know you're criticising as I was going through it. Oh, is it actually still loot boxes? It's kind of not, but it's still monetization in the paid game, right?
It's whether or not it's a loot box, we can debate that because it kind of isn't. But there is still in-game monetization in a paid product. And while it's less than it was, it's still crap. And I've not played Rocket League for a long time. I don't know how good they are at like adding new content in terms of like new tracks and new cars. Because I think there are lots
of new modes and stuff. They do like a Christmas special, and they do like new kind of different. Because
then there's the argument which we talked about before about the microtransactions help facilitate that new content. But again, we don't know how much that content is worth in terms of man hours and production. So we can't.
It's not like they have raids with like a big content big pieces of content that they add. They don't do that. It's just you just play with people, and once it's all set up. Anyway, there's a couple of responses on the Eurogamer article which I was quite amused by. Sandman, he says, I bought the game on PS4 and then Switch. You've had my money. Can't I just be left alone from this monetization rubbish and enjoy the game? ? Exactly, isn't it?
It's obviously I thought about buying it again on Switch just to have it mobile, but
yeah, fuck that if you're paying for it. But if it was free and all this monetization, that's fine. Anyway, so some goats. I'm not sure whether this was just being sarcastic or actually being genuine, but he says they're learning as they go.
It has to be you can't be that ignorant or that much of a coincidence to say that just after the whole Gears thing with Rod Ferguson.
They're all learning as they go. Anyway.
We've been making this game for years and we still haven't figured it out.
Anyway, let's move on quickly. Talking of France, which I mentioned, they did a report last year on the state of loot boxes and stuff. Valve are changing the way that loot boxes work in the country in CSGO, right? So they're introducing this new mechanic called the X-ray scanner, which will reveal what's inside the loot boxes before you buy the loot box. So from their blog, this is their description. In France, every container must first be placed into the X-ray scanner to reveal the item inside before purchasing a key. The X-ray scanner will consume the container and reveal the item inside. To use the X-ray scanner again, the revealed item must be claimed. It's not possible to scan another container without claiming the revealed item. So essentially, they just add in one step to the process. You can see what's inside the loot box before you buy it, but all it is adding another step, right?
But then if you don't like what you see in there, you can't then just scan another one.
No.
Because you can only use it. Well, that's ridiculous. That doesn't solve anything.
No, it's not. What it does is, it's still retaining the addictive qualities of wanting to reveal the random rewards, but that's just deferring it or putting a buffer in so that the reveal of the rewards that you get is separated from the items that you buy. So you still get that.
If anything,
it's just one step away where you get the reveal from when you actually buy, and you can't reveal another one until you buy. So in order to get the reveal, you've got to buy, and then the reveal comes across.
Yeah, if anything, it might actually encourage more loot box spending, because then you can be like, I can see what's inside this one, I don't really like it, but if I just buy this one, just get it out of the way, I can see what's in the next one.
It's a bullshit way of separating the purchase from the surprise mechanic, but they're getting away with it, and they've done it in Dota 2 in the Netherlands to get around the regulation that happened in the Netherlands. So they got away with it, but it's like all they're doing is they're putting these buffers in between the bullshit and other things, just so that it's harder to explain what's happening, and so that people like us have a hard time describing it and getting angry about it, right?
It's more ridiculous as well because they put it's only in the countries which legally require it, like in France with
France
CSGO.
They don't technically legally require it. I'll go into that in the Netherlands and Belgium.
Because if it screams of it being anti-consumer, because if they believed in their product and wanted it, like agreed with what they were saying, they would apply this change across the board, like ubiquitously.
That is true. The reason they are doing it in France, because there's no regulation there currently, but the Autorité de Régulation des Jeux en Ligne published a report in 2018. That was alright.
Not bad. RGL.
RGL is the abbreviation. The report voted for coordinated action on loot boxes, but it stopped short of instigating that action itself, and called for better analysis of loot boxes by financial regulators.
I like that, coordinated action. I imagine a bunch of SWAT guys breaking through the windows. It's time for coordinated action. You know?
Yeah. That's exactly what they do in their stripy black and white T-shirts and the berets, right?
Yeah, the berets. They mime them into...
I'm thinking, what's that fucking... Hello, hello. You seen that one? So funny.
Oh, dear.
Talking of...
Watch Hello, hello. It's really funny.
It's so funny. Anyway, that side. So that's what happened in France last year, and they're taking this. It's unusual. They're taking this step before regulation comes in, or to try and stop regulation ever arriving. I'm guessing. I think maybe that's what they're doing. Also, the question is, UK had the same kind of report this year with the UK Parliamentary Committee with its scathing report about loot boxes and extra monetizations and stuff. Are they going to do the same in the UK next? That's the question.
One can hope, but you're right. This is it's them trying to avoid it.
You hope they bring X-ray scanners into CSGO in the UK?
I hope they X-ray scan the people putting this stuff in to see if they have a heart in their cold corporate shell. I was going to take that in a different direction and fill them with radiation, but I decided to be a bit more wholesome. Well, yeah, I hope that we do get some sort of regulation in some way, but all of this stuff is them trying to make it as specific as possible so that the general clauses of a regulation kind of bill wouldn't apply, because it's like, oh, it's got to be random. Oh, well, it's not actually random because it's this. We don't class it as random. We class it as a degree of chance or something. Yeah, it's a semantics game at that point.
It's them trying to keep their big flotilla, big galleon of ships afloat, because they're sinking by like shoveling out like one pail of water at a time.
Yeah.
That's the way
with a bucket.
Yeah, bucket of water. That's the way I see it, right? And hopefully they we sink them with this regulation before they get a chance to stay afloat. Because this is just another bullshit way of getting around it. This is two bullshit ways of getting around dodgy monetization with not quite so dodgy monetization, but still not acceptable for someone like me who's an absolutist. No additional monetization in full price games, please. Thank you.
It is better, but it sure as shit isn't there yet.
It isn't perfect.
But
anyway, that's it from
loot boxes
stuff. For now, back to monetization in a short while.
Yeah, it's a short intermission break. So, Gearbox versus Troy Baker this time. Now, we had a little spat with him a little while ago, but we'll bring all that in. But in case you don't know who he is, you definitely do know who he is, because he voices your favourite video game character in whatever your favourite game is, because he's in everything.
Well, what? He voices Joel off The Last of Us?
Yes, he does.
Oh, wow.
So he voices Joel in The Last of Us. He's Delson in Infamous Second Son, which was an alright game. Sam Drake in Uncharted 4, and most importantly to this story, Reese Strongfork from Tales from the Borderlands, which is the Telltale spin-off of regular Borderlands. So I'll recap you on the original story, which happened a few months ago, but I'll kind of tighten it up. The abridged version, because it's long and it's a lot of he said, she said. So Troy Baker plays Reese in Tales from the Borderlands, which is the Telltale spin-off. Okay, you with me?
Can we just correct you on something? It's Reese.
Oh, fuck off.
Right, carry on.
It's a guy with a robot arm. All right, deal with it. So Reese is present in Borderlands 3, because they've brought in a bunch of characters from Tales from into the main Borderlands, but he's not being voiced by Troy Baker and is instead being voiced by a guy called Ray Chase, who is best known for playing Noctis in Final Fantasy 15, as well as a bunch of other anime characters in anime English dubs. Big JRPG kind of scene in that world. Reportedly, Troy Baker was surprised to see that his character was in the trailer, even though he wasn't voicing him, because he'd been in talks to do it, but that didn't happen, and we'll explain why in just a minute. Fans asked the legendary Randy Pitchford, who is the head of Gearbox, why Troy Baker wasn't in the game. Troy Baker's very popular, big following, why isn't he in my favourite game? So he said, "You'll have to ask Troy. I was told by the audio director that he turned it down. Fortunately, with how Reese appears in the game, I don't think it actually matters at all. You'll see for yourself when the game comes out, and you may disagree with me on that or not." So that's saying he turned it down. Troy Baker turned it down.
Yeah, Randy Pitchford himself. Randy Pitchford confirmed.
Baker responded in an interview with Only Single Player about that and said, "I would fact check before I tweet it out to the internet." Among a few other things, it was a bit more embellished than that, but that's the concise version. So
you're calling Randy out on his bullshit.
Yeah, but not explicitly explaining what really happened. He's just like, that's not what happened.
Have another think about that, Sonny.
Okay. Story dried up for a little bit because all this was way back in April, but now we've had some more juicy info.
Juice.
So this was from an interview with VG247, who spoke to Troy Baker earlier in the week, and he said, so they came to me and they were like, do you want to do this? And that's talking about the role of Reese in Borderlands 3, which I said, absolutely. And then they made it impossible for me to do the role. It had nothing to do with money. So this is a spoken interview, so he's repeating himself a little bit. They just simply would not go about doing it the way we needed it to be done. So it was like, I never said no. It was simply a matter of they wouldn't go union. I can't do a non-union gig. So he can't do he couldn't do it because Gearbox wouldn't sign on with his union group, which is the SAGAFTRA or SAG-AFTRA.
You've all heard of them, right? They're the ones who they're the ones who had a strike, or they stopped production for a while. That's why all these shows had halfway through
they strike all the time, and it often messes up stuff.
Yeah, Mad Men had a mid-season interlude because of the strike or something in one of the seasons, and a lot of TV shows had the same, where there was 8 episodes and there's a mid-season finale, and while they had a break, and then they came back and finished the season. Because
they strike because the union, the SAG-AFTRA, they represent actors and writers and directors and all kinds of performers, really, including some musicians and DJs and stuff, and they try to, as most unions do, ensure certain levels of pay, working conditions, and benefits like healthcare and whatnot. So if Gearbox wouldn't sign on with the union, Troy couldn't work with them, because my belief is that he can only take union roles. I don't know that for sure. I don't know what his actual contract says, but that's the suggestion, is that if he's in the union, he can't do non-union work.
Or maybe it's just a personal choice. That's and that's perfectly fine too. You know what I mean? Because you want to make sure that the people who employ you abide by certain standards of employment. So make sure that you give you enough breaks, make sure that they treat you the best that they can. And if they're not guaranteeing that they're going to treat you with that benchmark, then you're not going to sign up with them, and that's perfectly fine, right?
Especially with someone as in demand as Troy Baker, and that's for 2 main reasons. Because he's going to be quite expensive these days as an actor to employ to play a role, because he's so popular, but also he's going to be very busy. So he can't commit. And being a voice actor, you're not on set for a solid 3 months. You can do bits and pieces at different times. I've got a week here, I'll go to this studio and do this stuff, or I'll fly over there and do that. So he's kind of doing lots of different projects all at the same time.
Yeah, and the thing with voice actors too is that they're renowned for having really bad working conditions. You might be in a recording booth for hours and hours and hours in a single
screaming.
Day, just grunting, screaming, doing noises that hurt your throat and stuff like that. And if you're not protected by these employment kind of guarantees that you can have a certain amount of breaks and that they're looking after you properly, then who would want to do that without that safety net?
Because it's such a new sub-industry of acting, because voice acting has only been around in such a big way for the past few years. But anyway, the union responded to Troy Baker talking about this and saying we wouldn't go union. They were very on his side, of course, because they're the union he's with, SAG-AFTRA. We applaud any member who stands up for workplace fairness and the integrity of their creative work. It's a courageous decision to act in the best interests of one's fellow SAG-AFTRA members, and this honours all working people. The misguided decision by Gearbox to deny their performers the opportunity to have fair union wages, a safe workplace, and the possibility of healthcare coverage for their families is unfortunate. It's misguided and unfortunate, Gearbox. We attempted to sign Gearbox to a union agreement. They refused and disengaged from those talks. We look forward to hearing from any Gearbox performer who is interested in the many protections a union agreement offers actors. So, quite scathing of Gearbox there.
It's quite bad, though, as well. If you think, as a company, if you must, how little must you care about your employees if you're not willing to guarantee them a certain level of looking after?
Yeah, and they go on to that in a bit, which I'll get to in a sec.
They just hate people, and they don't want to commit to giving them too much healthcare, this and that, because maybe it costs too much or whatever. But surely the well-being of the people who work for you, it's got to be some sort, on a moral level. I know on a legal level you don't have to, but on a moral level, if you're a decent human being, we are talking about Borderlands, we are talking about Randy Pitchford here, so maybe that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, touchy topic. Well, this isn't just Gearbox who do this, by the way. This isn't just bagging on Gearbox, because not everyone, but a lot of companies do this. They don't like unions because there's a lot of people don't like unions, and that's fine,
Because
whatever.
they don't like the well-being of their employees. Fine, that's fine.
Yes, of course. If you think that's okay, I think that's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
But, hey-ho. But, yeah, Gearbox is this current example. And they responded and told a different story. They sent out their own statement, which is...
Oh.
I love it.
What did they say?
Love it.
Henry, come on.
Troy is an exceptional talent, and we were disappointed that he declined to partner on Borderlands 3 after being offered the part. Exceptional talent, yeah. So it's like, he's really good. What a shame it didn't work out. We wish him the best and hope he knows the offer to collaborate with him still stands. Gearbox is a Texas company and is bound by Texas law, which means that a person cannot be denied employment because of membership or non-membership to a labor union or other labor organization. So we didn't not hire him because of his membership to a union. We can't do that because Texas law says we can't.
Yeah.
So we're not the bad guys here. As a talent-owned and talent-led organization, Gearbox enthusiastically works to ensure our pay and working conditions meet or exceed union standards. Now, that's where unions, I think, are important because they can say this all they like. We enthusiastically work to ensure this. Yeah, but there is no binding guarantee, exactly, like the union contract will have. That's what forces you to do. We also believe this is the best line. We also believe strongly in hiring local voice actors whenever we can, which is why we're thrilled Troy's career really took off after working with us. So that last line is a reference.
Credit for Troy's successes.
Enormous success based on his great talent. So that last line is in reference to Troy's role in the Brothers in Arms series, which started in 2004, where he plays a character called Sergeant Matt Baker.
Classic.
Which was also a game developed by Gearbox under Randy Pitchford as director.
It's actually a good game.
Yeah, I hear good things. Proper war military thing with a decent story, right?
Brilliant.
Published by Ubisoft. But that sentence is salty as fuck.
It is, isn't it?
It's so petty.
We also believe strongly in hiring listeners, which is why we're thrilled. We're absolutely thrilled that he did so well on the back of us. Yeah. Fuck off. He did so well because he's an awesome voice actor. And it has nothing to do with the fact. It's nothing to do with your contribution to his career because you contributed to how awesome he is. Fuck off. You fucking smarmy bastards.
Literally, I watched a clip to figure out what I watched a clip to figure out what he sounded like in that game, and it was a sequence like a bit of dialogue talking to someone else, and the other guy, he wasn't bad or anything. He was just just reading his lines. Wasn't much to it. Yeah. And then Troy Baker, because he's a really good actor as well as voice actor, he could bring that talent in. It was above and beyond and did like little extra nuances and like pauses and little things like that that make all the difference. Now, the key thing about this, according to Gearbox, the company can't legally refuse anyone work due to their involvement with the union. And that's basically them saying, we didn't refuse him because of a union, we're not allowed to, blah, blah, blah.
That's illegal.
Yes, of course. And they doubled down on the idea that Troy Baker declined. He said, no, we're not in the wrong here. Now, SAG-AFTRA come back again, and this is a bit confusing, and as I said earlier, it's kind of corporate sass, and it's them trying to be like, here's a bunch of long words to say, shut the fuck up, you're being a dumbass.
Lying bitches.
Yeah, so Gearbox's reference to Texas law is a non sequitur, and if you don't know what that means, it's essentially like an invalid conclusion that doesn't really make any sense. SAG-AFTRA's contract does not require Gearbox to deny anyone employment based on their union status. In fact, SAG-AFTRA's contract does not require any employers in any state to deny anyone employment based on union status. So that's them saying, the mention of the law is completely irrelevant. Our contract doesn't stop anyone getting employment either, so nothing is wrong with our contract. What were you saying, bruv? We are fully aware of the anti-labor right to work for less laws that help explain why Texas has more minimum wage workers than any other state in the union. A little bit of politics.
Wonder why you're in Texas then, eh?
Yeah, so that you can pay people less, right? Employers in Texas and other right to work for less states, nevertheless, routine work under SAG-AFTRA agreements with no legal obstacle at all. Again, we're not the problem. Other people can manage it. This is a great one as well. To the extent that Gearbox's statement reflects legitimate ignorance, Gearbox could have easily asked that question during their discussions with SAG-AFTRA, which they did not.
Legitimately ignorant, Gearbox. That's what they've called you. Legitimately ignorant motherfuckers.
Our agreement is great. You're the problem. It's not us. And you could have talked to us about it. You could have negotiated, but instead you chose to be ignorant.
Sit down, bitch.
If Gearbox this is another good one. If indeed Gearbox meets or exceeds our contract standards in the treatment of their performers, which we highly doubt, it would have cost them nothing to sign with a union's agreement and retain the original cast of the game.
Exactly. That's a great point, right?
So that's them saying it was in Gearbox's interest to sign because they're not going to lose anything if they do. And if they were as good as we need them to be, which we don't think they are, we think they're shit. They definitely
why
lose
are they
anything.
avoiding signing up to our standards if they
are good
exceed
enough?
it?
Yeah.
If they exceed it, they've got no issues. Just sign up, no problem. Nobody has a. But obviously, they've got a problem meeting the standards of the.
The only reason they're not signing on is because they're not good enough to meet our standards, so they can continue to try and exploit people. While SAG-AFTRA does not comment on member discipline matters, we observe that SAG-AFTRA members who work for certain non-union members not only deprive themselves of the benefits of a union agreement, they lower the standards for all their peers and facilitate the abuse and exploitation of performers. Now, that feels like a bit of a dig. In general, any non-union actors, which is fair enough because they want people to join them, right? Yeah. But also the chap who has taken over Troy's role as Reese, Ray Chase, a bit of a, dig at him almost. Not necessarily personally, but it definitely applies to him from having taken that role despite what they think is best. Yeah. So the question is, again, because I don't have the contract in front of me, and only Troy Baker and his union people will know, I don't know if he is legally bound to only perform in union members, employers and whatnot. But I've completely lost my train of thought. Hold on.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't think it matters at all whether he's legally bound or not. If he.
But yeah, why would you? That's where I was going. Why would you?
Yeah.
Why would you work for less? Obviously, the main reason he'd want to do it for less would be his passion for the character and having done it before and love for the brand, because he's a big gamer as well as being an actor.
Yeah. Well, you think someone like Troy Baker doesn't have to take every offer that gets put on his table. He can pick and choose what he wants to do, and if he's got 5 offers and he's got to choose between 3 of them because he's only got a certain amount of time in a year or whatever, it's which ones have got certain assurances as to great working conditions? Well, this Borderlands one doesn't have any sort of agreement, so that's on the bottom of my list. So he can pick and choose, whereas other actors might not have that choice. Might be working from month to month, from paycheck to paycheck, waiting for the next offer to come in. Someone gets an offer from Borderlands. All right, there's no guarantees for working conditions, but it's food on the table. Yeah,
and there's 3 huge games off the top of my head that he's got coming out within the next 8 months or something. Death Stranding in November. He's one of the presumably villains. He looks quite villainous, but again, we don't know. It's Death Stranding. He's in that. He's going to be in The Last of Us in February. Mm-hmm. And despite not having been in many of the trailers very much, Neil Druckmann, the director, has insisted, he's still a massive part of it. It's Ellie's story, but Joel's super important. And he's in the Marvel's Avengers game as Bruce Banner, which, again, it's a huge game coming out next year in May. Yeah. So he's not short of options here.
Yeah, and I feel like it was Gearbox that lost out more than Troy Baker on this one, really. What is Troy missing out, not being a part character in... in an
ensemble game anyway, which by all accounts, it's not my opinion, I don't know, by all accounts has terrible writing and really cringy humour. it's not my opinion, I've not played the game, but
it's not a Joel role anyway, is it?
No, he's better than this. And I do have a little bit of bias towards him because he's one of my favourite not just voice actors but personalities right now,
because he does that YouTube channel with
Retro Replay,
with Nolan North, right? And anyone who's never seen that and knows who they are and what they act, they've probably acted in one of your favourite games between them, right? And the fact that they're into games, they play games, they're enthusiastic about it, and they're playing the old games, and they talk. They're just great people, right?
Yeah. And I listed a handful of games at the beginning, like Last of Us, Infamous, and all that. They're just the ones that were off the top of my head when I was writing this. He's been in so much stuff, and so much non-gaming stuff like animation and whatnot. So he's not short of work.
There you go. That's the sassy SAG-AFTRA. The SAS-AFTRA, as I've retermed them.
It's difficult to be on the side of Gearbox when they just keep doing so much stupid stuff.
Borderlands beatdown.
Yeah.
There you go. So next up, how Esrb actually rates games. How would you think a company who rates games for public consumption that goes about that?
Now, they've probably got a full committee of like a bunch of people, maybe even a subcommittee with chair people
who actually sit down, they play the game,
dedicated salaried professionals,
they take detailed notes, and they compare the notes, and then they come to some sort of consensus
Yeah.
about all the content that they've seen while they've played through the whole game, and then they decide whether it's suitable for people aged 18 or over because there's like sex references or whatever, or if it's suitable for like everybody because there's absolutely no bullshit in it at all. That's what you'd expect, right?
Yeah.
Apparently not.
What?
Apparently not. There's a bunch at 3 minimum, right? Anonymous people, and apparently they don't even play the game. They all they have to do is watch a 2-minute video which represents what's in the game, made by the game creators themselves.
Yes. See,
that's how ESRB stick their age ratings on their boxes.
Sorry, just there was a comment on I think last week's podcast saying that Henry seems uninformed about stuff when we talk about it. It's because we write like a story each or something, and we got 3 here. I spent ages on the Troy Baker one, and he wrote the first one and this one, and I don't read them, so I can be surprised about what's coming up. So this is great news. That's why I'm not informed, because you're right. I don't know.
Yeah, don't know what's coming up. So this was blown up by Angry Joe in a video on YouTube. Those of you who don't know who Angry Joe is and you consume videos like this on YouTube, you probably should be familiar with this guy because he's quite an outspoken.
Angry's in his title. He
talks against bad monetization practices and shitty, just shitty things in the industry. A bit like we do too. He does a lot of reviews that people like. He dresses up in.
Yeah, he has like sketches and stuff. Which
he does a lot of things for the community. He does Angry Joe, but this is. In fact, one of the people he had on his show found it in like an article. But anyway, the details of which are so the companies who want to be rated by ESRB have to apply. Fill out an application and send a 2-minute video, right? That's a video. In this video, you're supposed to include the most extreme examples of any offensive or potentially offensive content and overall gameplay. So if you've got blood and gore or sex or anything, or like gambling mechanics, or any sort of like roulette wheel, or any sort of like pachinko machine, that should be in that video so that they can appropriately rate that game. Now, the reason I say gambling mechanics, pachinko machines, and roulette wheels, or whatever, is because this whole discussion started a while ago about NBA 2K20, which in its trailer for the game itself had all of the above. It had slot machines, pachinko machines, and prize wheels, and it was rated E for everybody, which was a complete scandal by the ESRB, and also it was rated a 3 by PEGI in Europe. So ESRB is the American equivalent of the PEGI, which is European. So that's how they got around it, right? They didn't send them the trailer. They weren't rated by the trailer, because if they had, they'd have seen the gambling mechanics and then they put the descriptor on the box. Yeah. And this is the next question, right? Not only do you get the E for everybody, you get a descriptor of what's in the game. So you might have descriptors such as blood, gore, violence, nudity, language, bad language, and gambling and stuff, right? So the descriptor which should have been on the back of NBA 2K20 was simulated gambling, which, quote, player can gamble without betting or wagering real cash or currency. So that means you can participate in gambling mechanics like the slot machines, roulette wheel, and the pachinko machines, right? But it wasn't there on the back of the box as a descriptor, probably because they didn't stick it in the 2-minute video that was assessed by the ESRB.
Now, I'm not very well versed in legal goings on, but my instinct is that is legitimate grounds to class action.
It's a scandal. It's an absolute scandal.
That's
but
ridiculous.
The problem is, right? This is the problem, Henry. This is the problem, right? ESRB is like run by the ESA,
who are run by
and
EA
the ESA
and Activision.
Are basically made up by the heads of all these companies, by the heads of 2K who published 2K games, Activision. So it's literally insider kind of golden handshakes or whatever. It's like, we own you. We want to make rate this game as a 3, because if we stick a 12 on the box, which it should have been, then it won't sell to as many people. We don't make as much money. It's an absolute scandal, and this whole thing is bullshit and needs to be exposed by somebody with more authority than us two dickheads behind this table, or like Angry Joe or whatever. Proper people in government need to look at this shit, because it's bullshit. Why are kids allowed to buy NBA 2K20 when they're 3 or 4, like to play it when they're 4 or 5 or 6 years old, when there's gambling mechanics in it? Like, how stupid! Like, it's not.
How can your rating process be based on a trailer cut together by the people who make it? Surely you'd send your own guy in to play the game. You
don't even have to play the game. That was the standout thing anyway. So that's how the ESRB does it, and Peggy, they rated it a 3. Now I looked at Peggy and I tried to think, like, it must be the same kind of system, although we don't know that for sure. The same kind of system that Peggy uses, but just a bit more specifics about the Peggy system. So there's 6 age ratings in the Peggy system, and it should have been age rated 12. It should have 12 on the box, but actually had a 3 on the box, right? Because 12, what it says at 12, that's when it begins to describe gambling in the games, and it says gambling as it is normally carried out in real life in casinos or gambling halls can also be present, which is exactly what happens in NBA 2K.
It's gambling as it normally happens.
Yeah, as it's carried out in gambling. So there you go. And the descriptor, which should have been on the box in NBA 2K in the Peggy area, this descriptor may appear on games with Peggy 7 if it contains pictures or sounds that may be frightening or scary to young children, or Peggy 12 with games with horrific sounds or horror. Oh, I've screenshot the wrong one there. That's completely irrelevant because I fucked up with my screenshot.
Nice one.
Yeah, I put a lot of effort into these podcasts and research, but sometimes we just fuck up. I've got my whole answer for that one. Completely fucked up. So it shouldn't be in the gambling, like, little box should have been on. The descriptor should have been on the box in the UK and, like, in Europe, but it wasn't. So what do we do about it other than scream and shout and try and get regulators to take notice?
Just got to scream and shout louder, I guess. Even though I hate fucking talking about this shit over and over again, 'cause it's the same conversation. We've got to keep having it.
What we need to do is get somebody from the audience, or somebody who has a mind to do it, is write to the local representative or write to a local member of parliament to ask them why the hell this goes on and why this is allowed to go on and how it works, or write to Peggy. Well, unfortunately, I don't have the time. Probably we should be able to do that, but we're so bogged down in all this stuff in the first place. I don't know if somebody has the.
I think we all need to. All you American citizens need to vote for the guy Ace Watkins, who is, according to Twitter, the only gamer running for president of the United States. It's a big satirical thing, but still, vote for Ace Watkins.
We need to ask the questions of these authorities, the regulators, the people who make the decisions. We need to ask them the question and make them answer us. That's what we need to do. Anyway, that's all this story is. It's just a bullshit blowing up wide open the whole rating system and why it's a complete bollocks. Parents rely on this system to know whether the game is suitable for their children, but lo and behold, it's such a scandalous system that you can't rely on it one bit, and this proves that it's completely corrupt, absolutely corrupt, 100%, and it's all bullshit. So never rely on it. That's the truth.
That's the gospel truth. Well, I guess on that note, we're gonna maybe go and get some food and
take a short break.
Calm down after getting riled up about stupid shit.
And we'll be back with some more awesome podcast content. And welcome back to the second part of the podcast. We've just had our lunch break. We're refreshed now and ready to take your Discord questions. So the next part of this podcast is the Patron community questions segment, where the people who keep this channel afloat and operating and generating content, those beautiful people over who go to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming and support us, they get to ask us questions over on Discord every single week. Now, if you want to support the channel, head over to Patreon and you can do the same, as well as join in with the Discord chat. Good bunch of guys there discussing things, and girls. We don't discriminate. And also you get access to the podcast 2 days early if you become a Patreon member. Like, how is that for a deal? Absolute I mean, well worth it. Well worth the price of admission. Anyway, let's move on to the Discord questions for this week. Just a while, we'll be reading YouTube comments, including the Triggered Fanboy comment a week. Look out for that, because it's a beauty.
Stay tuned. All right, first up is from Assassin. It's the middle of the night and you're about to sleep when Elon Musk knocks on your door with his new quantum computing machine with a game that can simulate the whole universe down to the atom. He stares at you for a bit and then asks you a simple question. Would you like to play that game? If so, how would you feel about playing it? How would you treat the NPCs in that game? The game is that game as in a world simulator. Well, I think Elon Musk showing it up at my door in the middle of the night, it's a pretty scary situation. Because, I mean, he's a very intelligent man. What's he doing?
Knocking on your door.
In my bedroom with little old me.
And obviously he's invented a quantum computer here. And he's coming to us for some advice on wanting us to play his game.
Want to try it out.
I mean,
And he stares at you. That's a bit off-putting when you're trying to go to sleep. But in answer to the actual question, would you play the game? Hell yeah, I'd play it.
Yeah, sure, why
Universe Simulator. I'd think... Particularly, I'd play it if it was his simulation, like if he made the simulation, it was his universe, rather than my universe, because then it's like going into his head, which would be a weird and wonderful place.
Imagine this universe actually is a quantum computer generation.
Like an alternate reality type thing.
Yeah, an actual Elon Musk type person's created the world we're living in inside his quantum computer.
He's such an intelligent guy. Think of the incredible concepts he could create in this quantum reality, which you physically can't in our world based on our limits of physics and whatnot. But yeah, I'd totally play that. And also, how would you feel about playing it? How would you treat the NPCs? Realistically, I'd probably kill them all.
Would you?
Probably.
That's pretty evil of you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't kill them all, though.
Well, except the pretty ones.
Wow.
They can...
the pretty ones.
They can be my slaves.
You sound like Hitler, man.
Yeah.
That's what Hitler did, right? If you've got the blonde hair, blue eyes, you're fine. Otherwise, you're out of here.
Yeah. No, I probably would fuck with people, probably killing them. But it depends if it's like the Matrix, and if I die there, I die in the real world. So I need to know more about the rules.
Is it a VR game? Like you can go in, or is it just like on a screen where you're just like, okay, that guy goes to the shop and buys like milk or whatever?
And
that doesn't sound very fun.
It depends what the simulation is. Like, is it just the same as reality but a little bit different, or is it like?
We need more details.
Yeah, I need more information.
Yeah, come back to us.
But yeah, I probably would. It's a game made by Elon Musk.
Of course, you play it. So you can't lose anything by playing a
free video game anyway.
Sounds cool.
Even if Elon Musk is at your door at midnight.
Bit creepy. Anyway, Not That Rob Lowe this week. And Not That Rob Lowe asks, I dropped the bollock last week saying we were 2 when it should have been 3, but we managed to give the correct answers with regard to the years used. And this going back to Rob Lowe's series of questions. Now, every single week we give answer to what was our game of that year, X amount of years after we were born. So we started off the year that we were born, and then every week since we've been plussing 1, and now we're up to the next one. So now we're at 4, and our hand-stroke-eye coordination is probably at the level where we could possibly get around Mario Kart track if it existed in Gaz and mine's case. What was your favourite game from said year? It's 83 for me, and I was very close to choosing Manic Miner 2, which was my choice last week. But I'm going for Harrier Attack, as I have memories of playing this on my cousin's Spectrum 48K with the separate tape player. Oh, I fucking love it. I love it. Everyone who's played the Spectrum has nostalgia, like it's spine-tingling, like recognition of what I've just done there. Everyone else thinks I'm just a fucking idiot.
Yep, lost on me, I'm afraid.
You know exactly what I'm referring to when I just did them noises. And it was probably one of the first games I actually ever played. So, we're 4 years old. The year is 99 in your case. Mm-hmm. What was your game of that year?
Well, again, I had a slew of different quality titles to choose from, including Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Resident Evil 3, the original Super Smash Bros., which I haven't played that one, so that couldn't qualify because you have to have actually played it, which is a bit of a caveat. Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue, the best movie tie-in ever. It's incredible. Right. And the original Medal of Honor, but I've got to go with Rayman 2. I loved Rayman 2 because it was the big jump from 2D Ubisoft, to 3D. Right? Yeah. And the fact that Rayman isn't in Smash Bros is really upsetting to me, and he should have been there years ago, to be honest.
Michel Ancel, that's the guy who's doing Beyond Good and Evil 2. Michel Ancel.
Yeah.
The upcoming Ubisoft game, which is probably going to be filled with microtransactions, but there we go.
Yeah, if it ever comes out, because that's a really ambitious game. But yeah, I love Rayman 2. Rayman 1 was fun, but it was really hard. And being that young, I was just like, oh, no, I ain't got the patience or skill for this. Like, whatever, I'm going to go play outside with a ball. But then Rayman 2, again, I probably wasn't playing it when I was 4. But it was awesome. I love Rayman 2.
There you go, kept you in. So that was 1999 when Henry was turning 4.
Yeah.
So my year is 1984 when I was turning 4. Obviously, this is the mid-video game industry crash, which lasted until 1985. This is, in fact, the year that Tetris was released, which is the best game ever, or as some people have called it, the best-selling video game ever. You know, you take your pick.
That's such a no-brainer that you had Tetris. What else could you possibly pick other than Tetris?
Well,
it's so enduring.
I mean, I haven't actually picked Tetris. Hold your horses. I'm just giving you like a history test, right? Over 500 million copies of that game is sold, and the closest rival to that so far is Minecraft at 176 million. It's like 3 times as much as its closest rival. That's how big Tetris is.
Yeah.
So
they've barely had to change the formula.
There you go. So that's your history lesson for this week. Now, I was going to go with Karate Champ because I remember it so well and it was a great game. But I'm going to opt for the movie tie-in game of Ghostbusters, officially licensed and produced by Activision. Oh my God, was this game something special back when it was released? It was not just like a simple action. You had to buy a car, upgrade like the different things on your car, so there was like progression in it. Then you used to drive around, pick the jobs, earn money, and then like upgrade your car and shit. And then you obviously trap the there's a action like sequence where you trap the ghosts in the trap, and then cash them in, earn money, upgrade your car, upgrade your shit. It was beautiful. So that's why, I mean, although I did say that Tetris was maybe the best game ever, it's not. I mean, if you compare the two, there's so much more gameplay in Ghostbusters. It's one of the very first games that I played with just like a deeper amount of gameplay, like different types of gameplay things and proper progression, which is why it's my game of 84.
I think it's funny that you've picked Ghostbusters because the remaster of the 360 one comes out, well, for us, tomorrow on the 4th of October. For you, it's probably already happened.
Yeah, yes, there you go. That's a bit of what platforms is it coming out on?
It's on Microsoft Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So it's just the current gen versions of everything it was on previously. I never played the full version of that, but I really did enjoy it when it was out. It's basically Gears of War with Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Like, it feels very, very similar. And it was quite fun. Played the demo, that was great. Never played the full game. Maybe I will now it's remastered. Who knows? Okay, shall we move on to the next question? Where are we?
Sure.
Metal Shark. Are there any plans to do a 1-year anniversary of the all-new PGG video with highlights of recording gaffes or similar? The answer to the question is no, and that's mainly for 2 reasons. One, there's so many recording gaffes of mainly us just going, loot boxes and microtransactions, blah, 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 blah. Loot boxes and microtransactions.
You're just going blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
I'm going blah, 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 to try and warm up your face. I feel like we should do vocal warm-ups like actors do when there's all that weird shit they get up to. Anyway, there's too many of those, and none of them are saved. And I don't really have time to do anything like that.
How can we clickbait our gaffes? It's not doable.
Yeah.
It's not doable to get people to watch it outside of our like subscribers, or I guess we could do it. One, it takes so long. Editing, you just don't understand how long it takes to do editing, right? And it would take us away from making another video. If one of us is working on that, the other one couldn't produce the video. It's a lot of work for very little reward, essentially. And we're like shredding. We're like hand to mouth as it is. When it comes to generating content, we don't have the amount of extra time it would take to do that. Unfortunately, we apologise for that. That's just the way things are, and we could have done that if things were different. But thanks for your question, Mr. Metal Shark. Moving on to Josuervo, right?
Yeah.
Josuervo 47. A drunken question for you guys. Fair enough. Which fictional character do you hate the absolute most? Answers from any form of entertainment are applicable. Books, games, movies, television, etc. Personally, I don't think I could possibly abhor anyone more than the insufferable Peggy Hill from the sitcom King of the Hill. Apoplexy is more enjoyable than she.
This is an obvious and easy answer for me, and it's probably going to be the same as you. It's going to be Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
You got it. It's the correct answer.
He's the good kind of hate. He's love to hate.
He's the best villain in anything ever.
Yeah.
And not just in the book, right? In the actor, the guy who played the TV version is just the best. And it's a shame because he's gone on to do something else now. After he played Joffrey, I think he's gone to do writing. I don't know what he's done, but he's gone away from acting, which is a shame because he's such a good villain.
Yeah,
Joffrey, hands down. I mean, even though you've got the same answer as me.
Well, the thing is, with Joffrey, there's so many others that I hate as well. But then there's Joffrey, who makes me forget all of the others because I hate him so much.
Yeah.
There's any of the Game of Thrones villains, you could say, like Ramsay or Cersei or anything like that, but they're just not there as much as Joffrey is.
Yeah, Ramsay's an arsehole, but he's not king of the fucking seven kingdoms, is he? So he's not in absolute charge, and he doesn't, spoiler alert, he doesn't kill Ned Stark, which fucking Joffrey does. And that is this crowning moment as the absolute most hated fictional character for me, is when when Cersei decides it's all right to give him a pardon, and he's like, nah, just chop his head off.
So that's the good kind of hate, the love to hate. Although if we're going to go Game of Thrones again, the High Sparrow, I hated him because he was so fucking boring.
Yeah.
And the religious takeover of King's Landing could have been really interesting, but it was too long.
Yeah.
Went on for ages. God, it was dull, and we need to move on past Game of Thrones because this is supposed to be a gaming podcast.
There you go.
Thank you for your question, sir. Next question from Cloney99, and this is the triumphant return of the Shag.
No, spoiler alert. Set it up first.
Oh, well, forgive me.
Spoiler alert.
Let's get a bit philosophical. 2 weeks ago, you had the question, would you rather be a happy moron or a disgruntled intellectual? So, shag, marry, kill.
Obviously.
Of course. So, we've got Juliet Starling, the protagonist of Lollipop Chainsaw. And he's given us a link, of course, so that we know who we're looking at.
Yeah.
And then it says it's mostly clean in brackets because if you're not aware, she's a cheerleader type, but wearing as little as possible.
Obviously, she's a cheerleader; she can show skin.
Yeah, so, but even as cheerleaders go, it's something.
Yeah.
Barbara Gordon, Oracle before she became Batgirl, which so she's like a wheelchair-bound, super smart redhead.
Yeah.
And Miranda Lawson from the Mass Effect series. Now, because she's a cheerleader, I'm unconfirmed as to how old Juliet Starling is supposed to be.
As long as she's over 16 in the UK, we're fine.
But yeah, she's probably
a shag.
Yeah, she's probably the shag because she's the slag.
Even though she's a slag, she's not a slag.
Of course she is. Look at her with the fucking.
She's a slag just because she's a cheerleader.
Have you seen the gameplay?
No, no, I've got no standing for what I'm about to say. But she's got a kick-ass chainsaw, and she kills zombies 3 at a time for a special combo, which I've seen. And she's blonde, and she's showing off a lot of skin. She has to be, depending. Obviously, that she's age appropriate. That she's a shag. So I think we agree for that one, right?
I think we'll probably disagree here because I'm a bigger Batman fan and you're a bigger Mass Effect fan in that I've not played any of Mass Effects. I own them all now and I will eventually get to them. But yeah, I'll marry Barbara Gordon, and Cloney put up a good point in his explanation in a sec, which we'll get to in a sec. But yeah, I pick her because I'm more familiar with her to marry.
Yeah.
She's super smart. She works in the GCPD, the police department.
Yeah.
So she could probably earn decent money because she's like their techie person.
Right.
And she was Batgirl. So
she got shot through the spine by the Joker, right? And
so she's wheelchair bound. So you might not get the best shag of your life because she's literally immobile. Yeah. But she was really athletic at the time, so she's going to have a rocking bod.
Yeah,
although you
atrophies.
Can't do much of it. Yeah, that's the thing. But she's going to have good strong arms from doing the wheelchair.
Doing what?
Doing the wheelchair. Yeah.
All right. So
you knew what I meant.
Just so that we're all on the same page here.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, Miranda Lawson's going to die for me.
You're absolutely wrong with that, by the way. Miranda Lawson is 100%, if not a shag, you have to marry her because she's a badass bitch. She's awesome. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Miranda's awesome. Have you seen...
I know what she looks like, but I don't have a...
I mean, fucking, so why are you choosing, like...
Barbara Gordon? Because she's marriage. Because all I've got left is kill or marry, and I don't know anything about Miranda Lawson as a person. So
okay.
I've got to live with her. That's the thing. Is she going to bring money on the table and put food on the table? I don't know.
You've got my opinion, which is she's a badass bitch.
Yeah, but there's Batgirl.
Yeah, she's not Batgirl anymore. She's Oracle, right?
Yeah, but she was. So she's still been a badass bitch, and now she's a...
Right, ex-Batgirl.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, good choice.
Yeah, but now she's
I'm
Oracle.
not coming to the wedding.
Who's like the smartest person ever.
I'm not buying you a cake. I
don't agree
with your life choices, Henry.
Bruce Wayne's going to throw us a party, and it's going to be fine. Okay. Yeah, so on that note, we'll carry on with Cloney's picks. So, I'd kill Miranda because Tons is another patron who is a big Mass Effect and Miranda fan. I'd marry Oracle because she's Bruce Wayne's godchild or something, and he'd totally give us a mansion as a wedding present. Quite right. And I'd shag Juliet, no matter if her boyfriend's head was watching or not, because she's got a severed head dangling on her belt. Because there's a German saying.
That,
I mean, yeah, your
each
kinks
their own.
are,
I'm not here to judge.
I'm not going to shame you, because there's a German saying, "Dumm fickt gut," which roughly translates to "those who are low of intelligence are gifted in copulation." And I'd test that theory. So if you're stupid, you're a good lay. Okay. Now, on a side note, I want to say that most morons aren't actually happy. To be perpetually happy in a moronic state, you'd have to be so stupid as to not realise that something is amiss, ever. Not even through the pity of your surroundings. So I am rather smart and miserable. Oh, brag much, toot your own horn. I'm rather smart. Rather smart and miserable than dumb and miserable, but at least I possess the mental capacity to change. That is a good point, even if I don't. At Henry, please review beforehand because of strong language / kinda tame but pointed pictures. Quite right, good thing I did. I'd offer to teach you how to say "dumm fickt gut" in German, but I'd rather you just try it yourself because that's hilarious. How did I do?
Dumm fickt gut.
Well, it's 2 M's, so maybe it's not dumb, maybe it is dumb. I don't know. Fickt gut. I think I did okay in little German pronunciation. Ficht. There's 3 consonants together. It's getting too much. Although, go to Welsh, you'll get about 5.
There you go.
Anyway, another question from Cloney, and I think this is your one.
Yeah, second question from Cloney. Thanks for your earlier question. Inspired by the question if you could make your own game. When I was in uni, I created a 3D asteroids clone. We never finished the concept, but the very basic concept was to speed up and slow down a spaceship and shoot into asteroids that then broke. We only had 2D movement down, but the asteroids flew 3D. The game was shit, honestly, but something about these 3 cool assets on the background and just zooming around through space with variable speeds was amazing. I recently thought about this again while watching the Division 2 gameplay footage. How much I'd crave for a tunnel shooter where you just hop from the cover to cover and shoot down enemies. Have you ever had a game with just one feature that was kind of amazing and you wish you could just do that for 30 minutes just to relax, like cover shooting, like racing along the highway in GTA 5, or parkour like an expert in Assassin's Creed series or Mirror's Edge? I sometimes wonder if I could create and sell a game without a story that just combines these features. Plenty of people have. Mirror's Edge is one of them. One level of designed cover shooter, one level of free running with the occasional danger, one level of pathfinding on a free map, then one level of flying like you can in Anthem, and just feel powerful. Just a feel-good, feel-god game. Also, just because Force Destruction is one level, just go around and blow shit up. That sounds like a lot of game in one. That sounds like a lot of simple mechanics in different levels. That's basically making loads and loads of games and just knitting them all together.
I've always thought that was a great idea. If someone made a game where each level was a different genre. So if you had first-person shooter, then 2D platformer, then... Well, open world's a bit different because it's a lot of like wasted
that,
space.
Or Nier Automata.
Yeah, that's a little bit like that, and that's one of the reasons I love that game, is because it's a total mashup.
And Evoland is a bit like that too, where you like evolve. It's like more of an indie thing, but you're evolving through different different genres of gameplay as you go. Evoland, evolution, right? So there's loads of different kind of things that in the same kind of way.
Yeah, I love that.
That's cool.
Just a purely mechanics-based game. No narrative, no voice acting, no real characters. Just you as a player, killing stuff.
Have you ever
not killing stuff?
Have you ever? So the question is, have you ever had a game with just one feature that was kind of amazing? I mean, that's all the old games were, man. You think Tetris? We talked about it earlier.
That's literally what that is.
And
fit blocks together.
A lot of the games from back then are the same thing, just one feature, and they were amazing for the time. Like, because there was nothing as good prior to them. Yeah, ever since we've had games that just knock the socks off of these games, but Tetris stands up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 500 million copies sold. You can't argue with that.
Well, I think a game that is a perfect example of this for me, especially from a few years ago, was Gears of War. It's the reason I fell in love with it, because I never played anything with the cover shooting that felt that good. And then pretty much every game after that, every third-person shooter became a third-person chest-high wall cover shooter, and they all didn't get the same. They weren't as good as Gears was, and that's to its fault as well these days, because it hasn't innovated enough as I think it could have. Because it's still got the core gameplay there, it's still there, but it still lacks that extra something to take it to the next level.
There you go. Thanks for your questions, Cloney. Appreciate them as ever. Next up, Hobo Boxer makes a triumphant return.
Now, this could be a couple of things. You could be a hobo boxer, as in you box hobos. You could
a hobo who is a boxer.
Yeah. You could be a hobo who is a boxer, or you could be
someone who boxes hobos.
Puts hobos into a box, or a pair of hobos like underwears and like boxer shorts.
Hobo boxers,
which is really gross.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to talk about just out the name. So let us know which one of the above you are, Mr. Hobo Boxer. So his question, if I can. Yeah. It's up to you.
Yeah, it's me, innit?
Sorry, man.
Last week on the podcast, Henry said something about Captain Price of the new COD looking like Bruce from Funhouse, and he totally does. Now I have to ask, is Henry a fan of Funhouse? Tangent question, do either of you regularly watch any YouTube channels purely for entertainment? I'm simply intrigued by YouTubers watching other YouTubers. I always think this is an interesting question to ask to any person in their field. YouTube is interesting as well because it's such a massive market with lots of people on it and lots of people consuming it. But I like knowing what actors like other actors and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Funhouse. I've only recently really got into them because I liked The Know when it was good, and then everything changed, and I think I was still subscribed, but I didn't like avidly watch or anything. And then it came back recently. They rebranded it as Inside Gaming again with people like Adam Lawrence and Bruce again. So I got back onto that, big fan of that. And then I got more into Funhouse and the more gameplay, weird sort of comedy stuff. And I like them because even if like I don't necessarily think everything they do is funny, they do, and they're having so much fun with it, which I really, really appreciate. I like that a lot. Other channels I really like, watch a lot of What Culture, good British channel. They do so many lists, so it's often not difficult to keep up with what they do. But I like their crew. They got good personalities there. My favourite YouTuber probably is a guy called Mr. Sunday Movies. I think he just hit 1 million subs. He's an Australian guy who does all about films and comic books and sometimes gaming, but not really. It's only occasionally. He's just kind of nerd culture guy. He's really funny.
Yeah.
A few others. I can't remember.
Yeah, I like a lot of YouTubers and I watch a lot of YouTube. I did do. Outside of the gaming stuff, I mean, gaming is one thing now because I mean we're in that like in that area now. So like ACG is one of the best for sure. Worth the buy. I like his. It's just like his attitude. Worth the buy. I don't agree with everything he says, but worth the buy. Mac. I do like that and do watch. Recreationally watch his stuff. Outside of that, outside the gaming stuff, my favorite, obviously, Digital Foundry is a big one for gaming too. But outside of that, Philip DeFranco was my favorite one like forever, but then he's gone more political recently, and I'm like I'm more and more turned off to his content. There are other like the tech ones I like. MKBHD, Unbox Therapy, I watch them. I used to watch Austin Evans, but not quite so much anymore. But anytime I'm I just love like looking at new tech and stuff. So I've been a subscriber to MKBHD before he hit 1 million, I think. So that goes, I've been watching him for a good long time. And there's another YouTuber called Jackmate who's just over 1 million subscribers now. And I was subscribed to him before he had hit 50,000 subscribers. So again, another YouTuber that I've been subscribed to for a good long time. I like channels like Oversimplified as well, because I like a bit of history content mixed in with cartoons to make it easy to digest, kind of thing. I can't remember what's the other the funny Australian dude who does skits. I can't fucking remember.
Aussie Man.
Aussie Man.
Yeah, he's funny.
I watch Aussie Man, but there's another one as well. The one he draws on his fucking. He's so funny. I can't find him in my list now, and I'm pretty upset that I can't find it. But yeah, I do like a lot. I watched the occasional PewDiePie, and I don't mind PewDiePie's stuff because I like his take on things. Just to try and see how he thinks about the world, kind of thing. Because he's such a successful YouTuber now.
I don't really follow that much gaming stuff anymore on YouTube because I'm so in it already. Most of the news they're covering, we're already covering. I'll watch a few. So I like getting their different perspectives, but I don't regularly watch everything they do. If they talk about something that I know we've talked about, I'll maybe watch it.
Yeah.
Or if it's something I'm researching. There's a few film ones I watch, like Chris Stuckman. He does really good reviews. Jeremy Johns does really good reviews. I'm basically just looking at my subscription list here, but I know there's some really interesting ones in there somewhere that I'm a huge fan of, but I can't really...
I watch a lot of football highlights on YouTube because they started this year, especially like Sky Sports start throwing the football up. They're not really YouTubers, so that doesn't really count. I
think my favourite one, not favourite, but favourite new one, because they've totally blown up, is a channel called Girlfriend Reviews, because they've only been around for I think this year and a bit of last year, but they've completely exploded and they're already at nearly 600,000 subs. Yeah. And so if you don't know what they are, their concept is, it's not a review channel, it's a girl who reviews what it's like to have a boyfriend who always plays every game all the time and how annoying it is. She's really wholesome and kind of family friendly and nice. It's a lot of dog meme kind of humor.
Yeah.
Which I enjoy, but I can only take so much of it. But yeah, she's really easy to watch, and she looks quite funny.
I found that one. I mean, I watched SciShow as well, which is like the Hank. Is it Hank? From the Thingy Brothers. He does that, which is pretty cool. It's Frenchy Sunga Attack. Is the funny Australian dude. I like his stuff. I watch things like Cold Fusion. Used to be Cold Fusion, but it's Cold Fusion now. I not watched so much of it recently, but there you go. Watch a lot of YouTube. That is the answer to your question.
We could go on with that list for ages.
Forever. Next up, my turn now, right? Venticus Prime. Okay, here goes a long one, but I'll ask the question and then frame it for you. Has gaming inadvertently helped to cause the current rift between people? So that's the question, and then framing it. Whenever you wanted to play multiplayer, it would be by way of inviting some friends over and having a good time. However, to sell more consoles and copies of games, multiplayer in many games now requires everyone having their own systems, their own copies, and an internet connection, ultimately being isolated from one another. The biggest offenders of this are the AAA publishers, which seem to appeal more to the mainstream and not so much to the seasoned gamer. Although friendships can be broken because you're an arsehole that chooses odd job, it's much easier to dismiss or become upset at someone that you've never met and don't know anything about, other than the fact that your experiences having been randomly pitted against them or had them wind up on your team or end up on your team. Keep in mind that for this question, I'm not focused on faceless toxicity, which happens as the result of the internet in general, but rather the potential contribution to the divide amongst people caused from people no longer gathering together to share an experience.
So, to recap the question at the front of this, has gaming inadvertently helped cause the current rift between people? Now, there's a presupposition there that there is a rift between people, which I think is in a number of different perspectives.
I would term it a little differently. I would say the breakdown of society and people getting together,
community and that sort of thing,
getting together to do things.
Yes.
Right.
Because rift between people, my first thought is because there's so much political tension everywhere in the world. It seems to be the case at the moment anyway. You're either right or you're left, and each side thinks the other one's evil. Then if you're stuck in the middle, you're a coward and you don't pick a side and all that kind of bullshit.
Or you get characterized as the opposite to whoever's accusing you.
And if you don't follow a certain agenda or narrative, you're immediately the enemy and should be destroyed and cancelled and all that. But then cancel culture, what's the point of that? That's just consequences. Own up to your actions, blah, blah, blah. There's that whole fucking thing.
I would say that instead of gaming inadvertently, I say like the internet in general.
Yeah, that's where I'm thinking. But in regards to the community aspect, yeah, because with AAA publishers, they do get more money if they take out things like split screen co-op or split screen competitive play or whatever, because then you have to have 2 copies, and that's 2 confirmed sales of the game. But also, split screen's meant to be really time-consuming and difficult to implement in games these days, especially as they get more and more complex with, higher frame rates and better resolutions. Doing that twice for
rendering 2 scenes on the same screen using the same hardware
quality.
It's less and less easier to do.
Practical. But there definitely is a quote-unquote greed element for doing it. But I don't think it's inadvertently helped to cause the rift between people, and I definitely think there is a rewording of that question.
Yeah, contributed. Has the game inadvertently contributed slightly, possibly, maybe, to the current rift between people? I mean, you've got to define what the current rift between people is before we go on to try and assess this question. But if you're talking in terms of communities breaking down because not enough people are getting together and doing social things rather than playing in their homes remotely with people, I guess you could say that.
At the same time, it's totally the opposite, and it's helped bring people together. Look at exactly what we're doing right now, talking to you, reading your question. We're here because of video games.
Yeah.
So it's for everything good that something like gaming or the internet does, it does something bad at the same time.
Yeah.
In different degrees.
It's helped divide. We're talking about the internet in general now. Help divide people, but also bring people of like mind together in their own little pockets.
Yeah. If you're pushed away that way and you're pushed away that way, you come together in your own space.
I don't know. I mean, I think historically, if you were a certain type of gamer into a certain type of game, and your friends just weren't into the same kind of stuff as you, you'd be alone in your bedroom playing it for hours and you'd just be on your lonesome. These days, there's communities set up for like-minded kind of people, so you can connect with people of like-mindedness. So I don't know whether I guess it maybe contributed to people hardening their stance versus the other groups. So you can find your own group now, but you can also easily formulate and share ideas and arguments against other groups so that they can clash a lot more easier. I don't know, that's just And
I think causing the rift between people as a whole collective, the amount of gamers compared to the amount of non-gamers is tiny. I would assume, I don't have any raw numbers, but I imagine most people aren't gamers and certainly aren't, because I know I hate this word, but hardcore gamers or classic gamers, traditional gamers or whatever.
Okay. Thanks for your question, Mr. Venticus. And we have 3 remaining before we go to the Triggered Fanboy Comment of the Week.
Is this my one? It's from Black and Red Gaming. Hello, sir. Hello, awesome people. I have a simple non-gaming question for you today, and specifically for Henry. Oh, dear. How does it feel having your boss sitting next to you during a podcast, staring at you and waiting for you to fuck up so he can hire someone else for half your salary? In case you can't tell, I'm only joking, of course. Oh, and by the way, fuck Ubisoft. I like that. My man. Fuck Ubisoft.
How does it feel to have your boss breathing down your neck at every single thing that you do?
Oh, well, I'm the editor, so I can just crop it out.
I'm not his boss. You're freelance still, right?
Yeah.
And you don't get a salary. It's freelance work. I get paid for the work you do. Mm-hmm. Right.
So you can't halve my salary because I don't get one. It's per thing I produce, essentially.
You produce, you get paid. Like it's that simple. It's not. It's like this is like a partnership more than boss and
it's
employee.
less of a hierarchy like that.
Yeah. Hopefully that's the way it feels anyway. But that's the way. That's the way it tries to be. Thanks for your question or non-question, Mr. Black and Red Gaming. Next up, so reports are coming out that PS5 and Scarlet having built-in cameras for easier streaming. How do you guys feel about that? It's reminiscent of the old always on Connect.
Yeah.
Where there's having a camera made by someone who could get access to it at any point without you knowing,
because they always have to be
just
online
streaming,
as well.
they could be capturing whatever you're doing in your front room and you could have no idea of it. Always on, always looking at you, always streaming, potentially. Obviously people are going to be happy about that.
Let's assume if they are always on, that's bullshit, get rid of it. But if they're not always on and you just turn it on and it's just a convenience thing for streamers, because streaming's super popular, loads and loads of people are doing it. If it is as innocent as that, why the hell not? Make people's lives easier. Although the camera's probably going to suck, and most streamers will use their own decent quality camera with a decent mic anyway. But if there's one there that's harmless addition,
it's a stepping stone for wannabe streamers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For people who want to try it out but are not committed to buying specialist equipment,
or even just like kind of if you're in a party with your mates. Add a video element to that as well as just audio.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, assuming it's not always on.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'd probably stick a little
something over it,
a cloth over
if you wanted to. So, I mean, it's given other people options, and you don't have to suffer the consequences yourself. You can just cover it over. So, I think it's fine.
Okay, final question from Gaboris. How do you feel about games that don't have any real endings and are just meant to be played as long as you like / can endure just to get a high score on leaderboard, if any? For example, Minecraft, Dwarf Fortress, Mini Metro / Motorways, Yorg.io, or even games like Skyrim where content never stops. I hate them.
Yeah.
But even if they're really fun, that fun doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I really enjoyed...
no resolution.
Yeah, I really enjoyed playing Destiny 2. I don't think I even finished the campaign because I was like, I just can't be bothered to put in the amount of effort this requires, and I've got other stuff.
I know what I mean. It's like
I didn't pay for it either. I got it on
It's
PSN.
like getting to the edge but not climaxing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's edging the whole way. And I don't want that.
Fuck edging in gaming.
The point of edging is that you eventually get there.
Yeah, Minecraft actually has got beat the Ender Dragon and you've completed Minecraft essentially. But I see what you're saying. I mean, I don't mind them so much if I know that going in there isn't an ending. There's games that I would just play perpetually, like Astroneer's one. I don't know if there's an ending for that, but I just played it as long as I enjoyed it. I was like, I'm bored now. I'll stop.
I think the point is when it's just like you're playing for the sake of playing.
Yeah.
Because I could play something else and get. Like, I can be just having fun here, doing the same thing 100 times, or I can try something new and have a different experience, which I would generally prefer.
I guess it's whether the journey is more important or means more to you than the destination. It's like without having an objective, if you can just have fun playing something without any sort of direction,
goal,
then that's fine. If it's just a relaxation or some sort of like meditation thing for you or whatever, just to chill you out after a hard day's work, and then I can see, that's fine.
What's the game where you're like underwater scuba diving? It's really, really
Subnautica?
No, it's like
Absu.
Yeah, that's the one. That looks like a lot of... Even fun's not quite the right word, but it looks like interest.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't look like fun.
No, because
I've played it and I know.
You're floating around and I'm like, that's not got any drive or anything. It's a relaxing game. And I'm like, I'd play that for like 5 minutes and be like, oh, that's
about
enjoyable.
As long as the game is
exactly.
5 minutes.
So a game like that, I can see the appeal in that way, but just going around in the circles, not for me.
Horses for courses. How do you feel? It's each their own. Now, this next question was put to our Patreon page on Patreon itself. It wasn't in the Discord, so I'm going to read this out. This is from one of the followers. Alfrecht das Liebe asks, I think COD's matchmaking system is integral to this scummy patent. You lose via matchmaking, buy some shit, then get put into a winning round via matchmaker. I'm sure the console cross-platform is to increase their pool. What do you think of my hypothesis? So I don't know if you're familiar with this. It might have been before you were with us, but we covered this in the past where Activision got a patent to try and when you die, you get to see
you get an ad of the weapon that killed you.
Weapon that killed you, and so that incentivizes you to buy that weapon, so you can be the winner too, kind of thing. And it's such an unhanded, like, psychological scheme to try and get you to try and incentivize or get people to using your brain against you, essentially. So I'm sure console cross-platform is to increase their pool. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, you lose by some shit and get put into win round by a matchmaker. I think that's on the nose. That's what they're doing it for. I totally agree.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Because they can broaden the amount of people they can manipulate.
I mean, I would be surprised if this isn't the last we hear. I mean, Activision, I think it's a couple of patterns that they'll come up with in terms of trying to use psychology in order to incentivize monetization. I wouldn't put it past them to be working on others as well, to try and just tap into the, our internal desires to want something. Try and tap that in, because it's using our brains against us, and that's what they do.
Yep.
Anyway, thanks for your questions this week on the Patreon. If you want to ask us a question for next week, head over to the Patreon Discord, #AskGaz something channel. Throw them there, and next week's podcast we'll crop them all and ask them in the podcast. If you want to get access to the Patreon Discord as well as get the podcast 2 days early, patreon.com/prettygoodgaming, and we appreciate every single one of you who take the decision to support the channel, because it really, really helps. So next up, we are going to take the triggered fanboy comment of the week. And today's triggered fanboy comment comes from Fenris Ulfer. Okay, and this is on the Gears 5 director response to monetization outcry. Here goes. This channel is such a fucking shilling mess. Unless it's your sponsors at Sony, you hate it. This has nothing to do with Gears that just added double stars earned every weekend, making up leveling faster without needing to pay for anything. Plus, you earn iron for free through Battle Pass. No one has to buy iron. You're crying about nothing and complaining about theories. Even if you buy iron, you have to play the game to earn the stars and medals. And you're lying about how iron you get a season. How much, probably. Work on your grammar. You can't see the awards and every rank. It's over 1,000 iron for season. This channel is such a fucking bullshit. All I did was watch some actual gaming channels and find out everything you lied about. There are no loot boxes. Okay, so he's saying we're absolute bullshit, but he's watched some other YouTube channels and he's decided, because they say things that he likes, that they're right and we're wrong.
We're a shilling mess.
That's how he's got his information to undermine us. He's used other YouTube sources. That's amazing. You know exactly how knowledge works there, dude. If you go to one YouTuber, you don't like what he says, go to another YouTuber until you find something that echoes your own sentiments. That's exactly how knowledge works on the internet.
This
well done, Fenris.
Is such a fucking
nailed it.
Shilling mess. So let's forget about the largely positive review I gave for Gears 5, praising the campaign and the new characters, despite halfway through it dropping the ball completely, and the multiplayer being as fun as it ever was, but not being my kind of thing anyway. So yeah, whatever.
We're still a Sony shell,
unless
right?
you're sponsored shilling by mess. Sony. It's not my fault Sony make better games than Microsoft do. And that's the long and short of it.
That's a fact, right? And he throws out so many justifications. You earn iron for free through Battle Pass. Again, we said that in the video. That's just the reason it's there. You earn so little of it, but because you can use it as a justification, which is what you're doing. You're being a parrot. You're a puppet. Like, you are a puppet. They give you these little arguments, and then you go out in the world and spout it all because you like the game. Okay, we get you like the game. You don't have to be a bloody. You're literally a shill for these companies. You're a hypocrite, is what you are. You're shilling for these companies, spouting out their bullshit justifications for this shitty monetization. Don't come here telling us that we're shills when you're the one doing the marketing for them, telling everyone how good it is and all this bullshit. Fuck off. I think he's been put to rights. I think he's been put to rights. There you go.
There are no loot boxes.
I think we're done. I think that's it. I'm not wasting my energy. Leave it with the fuck off and move on to the next. Do you have any?
I've got a comment here, but I've just found them that go as a nice pair. So this is from John90 on last week's podcast. Timestamp. Don't knock capital G gamers, Henry. That's your audience. Not hardcore or casual. That's where the bulk of people watching YouTube gaming channels are. Plus, get women out gamers do not exist. It's a straw man built from a handful of tweets. Please do not perpetuate this myth. Now, capital G...
got his finger out.
Because this informs the next comment. From a different video, different person. From John90.
Be afraid.
So... capital G game, our audience largely are the anti-loot boxers, the anti-microtransactions. There's going to be some, what I would call the capital G gamers, who often decry a lot of social justice stuff. And as we've said before, some social justice stuff is legitimate, some social justice stuff is total bullshit. And there's more some days of one and more other days of the other. Not hardcore or casual, not really sure about what that argument is about. Assuming... Telling us what our audience is, I think, is a bit arrogant.
Presumptuous.
Yeah, because you may identify with that, and you are part of that. But the audience, our audience is...
You can't speak for everybody. Right?
Exactly. It may be the case. I don't fucking know. I don't have the numbers right in front of me of... This is James, capital G, gamer, whatever.
Capital G,
gamer. So then, plus women get women out gamers do not exist. Now... it's not exactly the same. But on The Last of Us, I think it's the multiplayer video, there's a chap called Gaming for Pizza who said nothing but SJW trash. Just SJW trash. No fluff or anything. That kind of person is exactly the get women out type person. I understand that there are a lot of people who... take the negative stuff of all the get women out gamers, let's call them, and put it everywhere. Like 1 in 100 tweets will be about it. They'll pick that one and say, look at everyone doing this when it's just one person. It's not representative of everyone. Yeah. That is absolutely true, and it totally does happen. But there are so many of these SJW complainers everywhere all the time. Mm-hmm. And with The Last of Us, they kind of want you to be upset about it. They don't want you to, but they're not afraid to upset you. And I respect them as storytellers, because even whether or not you agree or disagree, they're telling the story they want to tell, regardless of whether it's going to upset you or not.
Go back to the previous comment.
So the other guy.
I mean, I actually agree with him on one point. He says, plus get women out gamers do not exist, which we've just completely blown out of the water because they do exist. We've just read out a comment from him. It's a straw man, but I agree with this bit. It's a straw man built from a handful of tweets. Please do not perpetuate the myth. Yes, it's used as a straw man because it's used to characterize the whole of gaming community.
Like old media do it all the time.
Yeah, whereas that's not true at all. It's a very small section of people who are very loud and outspoken, right? And people say, "Oh, toxic gamers, gaming is toxicity and all this shit." When it's literally, like you said, maybe 1% of people, and everyone gets characterized the same way. And so the problem with that is, like this straw man, they're using this straw man to try and deflect the real issues, or to trying to not address the real issues, which is why it's such a problem, right? Let's not be arseholes and be the get women out gamers, and let's not be toxic. Like let's not do that, because it allows them to just ignore everything bad that they're doing and point at us as a community and say, look how bad they are. It's just bad.
This is not me saying that this John90 person is one of these fucking SJW complaining about everything ultra-right conservative snowflakes which exist in the world, like this SJW trash person probably is. I'm accusing that person of being it. John90 is probably just someone who is sick of agenda pushing, which is totally understandable. There's not agenda pushing everywhere, which is where I draw the line with some people's arguments, but there's plenty of it that totally does exist. But saying get women out gamers do not exist, please do not perpetuate this myth, it's not a myth, because I see it every day.
See it all the time,
in the comments on our videos.
Saying they do not exist, I would say is a little bit naive. And he himself is saying that to push his own agenda.
I think he's afraid of being identified as one. Because he doesn't necessarily line up with the status quo of being pro SJW or anti SJW, which is a totally fine stance to be in. Like, this guy seems to me like a classic centrist.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. I feel that I'm a centrist.
I mean,
but then
we
on
get
left
characterised
and right.
as the opposite of whoever's accusing us. That's the way. That's our lives. Now, if you don't agree with somebody, you're against them in their eyes, right? So I don't agree with everything on the left, don't agree with everything on the right. I'm against everybody. It's like the same thing with being a Sony pony. I don't agree with everything that an ex-boner says. So apparently I'm a Sony pony. Whereas in reality, we're quite balanced and even.
Well, let's throw out some bad Sony things. The last few games they've done have all been fairly similar. Granted, they're of a genre that I really enjoy, third-person action adventure. But they haven't innovated a lot recently in terms of gameplay mechanics. There's all of that shit with censorship, which people complain about all the time, which isn't very good. PSN price is overpriced. The most recent games have been a total piss take for PS Plus.
And that exclusive thing with COD, fuck you know.
Yeah.
That is the one
They're
of the
resistant to crossplay.
Bullshit things I've ever seen in gaming is where you take a whole year of exclusivity on a game mode and give it to PlayStation because they've paid the money. That shouldn't be done, Sony. You suck for that. But you're also good at other things. Yeah. I mean, it's the same with any other criticism for any other company. Whatever you're bad at for doing, you suck for, and whatever you're good for doing, you're good for. How funny how that works, isn't it? There's nuance there. It's not just we absolutely hate you or we absolutely love you. There's actual nuance there. But anyway, moving on to the next comment, and this was from last week's podcast. I like this one. Userman #19 says, "Oh, this channel's still a thing. Seems like a same-sex couple is enough to get subscribers these days.
I saw that.
Might give it a shot." So not only is he accusing of us of being a same-sex couple, and if only that was good enough to get subscribers, because it would be easy then, right? And he not only is he saying that, he's saying he might give it a shot.
Yeah, so he's going to establish a same-sex couple and become YouTubers. But the thing is, he said, "Oh, this channel is still a thing." So he's seen the channel before and knows it's a thing, possibly even before I was here, where there were also other males.
Yeah.
So it's not like anything's changed. It's just I am a different person.
I like that he's going to give it a shot.
I mean, yeah. The same-sex thing could do some good, honey. I haven't got another one ready. So
okay, I've got one. So the next couple I've got, or actually I've got a bunch of them, on The Last of Us has no multiplayer video. A lot of people are upset about this. We were saying that it's fine to have no multiplayer because, you know, it's still a way out, and their justification of it seemed reasonable because the multiplayer aspect of the game grew into something so big they couldn't fit it in, and they didn't have time to work on it at the same time as a single player. So it's a single player game now. You know that going in. It's not, it's months out from launch. You know that now. There's no multiplayer. That's coming separately, and they're going to take the time to realise that fully before they release it because they've got big plans for it, right? We thought that was fine. Other people didn't. Okay? So, #free multiplayer, the Sony can suck it, says.
So that's totally
he's
not
impartial. He's obviously very impartial. #free multiplayer, XBL and PSN multiplayer should be free. We already paid for the game full price, and you lock half it behind a petty paywall. I like this bit. Wake up, people! I like that bit. That's why I had that.
Gamers rise up.
Yeah. I like that because he's like a tinfoil hat. Wake up, people! But yeah, he's got a point.
Yeah, we shouldn't be fucking paying for it.
That's why I'm a PC gamer.
I thought you set it up to like.
No,
he was about to attack us.
There are others. These next two. Let me just read these two, and then
by all means.
So the next one, who was actually relevant to my setup, there was GameBro TV. You're damn right, we're upset. They said a year ago that it was coming, and nope, multiplayer was half the package, and factions had such potential. All these fanboys saying, "Good, I'm glad it don't have multiplayer. More focus on single player. The single player would have still been intact, you dumbasses." Sheep, I swear.
I read that one, and it's a ridiculous stance because it's as if he knows what the development process is like.
Yeah.
But then that argument could be made towards us, but I think a safer assumption is that multiplayer will take time to produce and extra resources, which they can use to put towards campaign. They might not put it into single player. The single player might not grow. They might just be trying to save money and cancelling that project because we're over budget, or
Yeah.
Unlikely, but we're being greedy. We want a bit more.
with game development that the gamers just don't understand. And this, let me just read this last one from this same video because it kind of connects to it. The next comment is, "You better calm down with bagging on people wanting multiplayer. They confirmed it. They reneged on it. They should get backlash. Everything they talked about built hype up around their game. If they just decide at the end they can't do something, then of course people should definitely say something about it. Don't open your damn mouth about something and confirm it and expect people just not to care." I agree with the last sentence. Don't open your mouth about something and confirm it, expect people not to care. Obviously, people care. But I don't agree with the rest of it. They should get backlash, right? Because this game is not out till February. There's 5 months remaining. There's a lot of time. And they've confirmed, you know exactly what you're getting. It's not like it's run up to like a week or two before and people have... You've got plenty of time to cancel your pre-order, okay? You're not losing out any money. If it was nearer to launch, this isn't false advertising. They're telling you exactly what it is. So getting backlash is, yeah, I agree. You can tell them that you want multiplayer. That's all good and well. But what you're ignoring is the complexities of game production, of like budget management, of like studio management, of every issue and problem that they've gone into, which has made them decide to separate it, right? You're ignoring all of that and you're choosing to not sympathize with that or empathize with that. That's your choice. That's up to you. We're a little bit more empathetic towards the development cycle than you, obviously, which is why. And you say we're bagging on people wanting multiplayer. Not really. We're just making light of it, really. It's not really like you're stupid for wanting multiplayer.
It's the toxic ones we're having to go at, which is what we always try to do.
That's true. It was the toxic ones we're having to go at. Stop being toxic. Stop doing that. We weren't really bagging on people who have a preference for multiplayer because your opinion is very valid.
Well, okay, so I've got one here which is on the Gears 5 microtransaction video from... IABDG. I'm going to just say its letters. This is completely irrelevant to the video, but I realised this. Henry Cooper, as in a relative to Sly Cooper, Henry has been part of the Cooper family of master thieves all this time, and we didn't realise. I don't think Henry is a raccoon, though, so maybe he was adopted. Now, I like the reference. I like the look of Sly Raccoon, but I have to confess I've never even played Sly Raccoon. I've not played it, but he's a raccoon, and it's like a stealth game on, was it PS2 and PS3, I think? Yeah. So I can't really elaborate on my lineage as a member of the Sly Raccoon master family of thieves. But sorry, we're not raccoons, but I am a Cooper, and there's several of them in the world, believe it or not. You know, the name, if you want to know, the name Cooper comes from the profession of making barrels. If you were a barrel maker, you were a Cooper. That's where it comes from. Because most names are trades, like Smith. You are a Smith.
A Smith.
Coopers make barrels.
Tailor.
Yeah. It's meant to be quite a challenging craft. Yeah. Making a barrel. It's
you got bend the wood,
high skills,
bend
right?
the wood, and you got to put. Yeah. Anyway,
not something I could do with these weedy arms.
Anyway, moving on. Again, in the Gears 5 monetization thing, Spade Civil says, "I'm ignoramus. I just don't care, but I care and understand absolutist. Also agree with the view." I like how this is catching on. You know, my terms of categorization of modern gamer and monetization and their stance towards monetization. I like it. Joe Newson also says, "I'm definitely an ignoramus, lol."
I hope that's not a typo.
Yeah, he's worked on that. He's an ignoramus. So I mean, I like that kind of. You know, I know I'm an anus and I'm ignorant. I like that.
So I've got a couple of positive ones to round things out on. So one from our Ghost Recon video.
Can I read one?
You get a negative one out. Yeah. We'll close it.
My very last one is this one, right? And this is on the video. EA responds to buggy backlash, and then we'll do yours, and then we'll finish off, right? Nit Striker says, "I think you guys are dissociating, that's right, the guy from EA. I mean, sure, there are two different things, but that guy represents EA, and if EA messes up, these guys should hear about it too. I mean, if we have to wait till the boss of EA comes down to hear about the complaints, then it's never happening. These people should feel the heat so they can bring it up as well." This is talking about the EA response to the problems with career mode in FIFA 20. And part of what I said in that video, was that I like that the way that they're approaching the feedback, that they're being open and transparent and trying to provide as much details as possible. I think and saying that these guys themselves do not deserve that criticism. It's EA as a company, as a scheme, as an entity that deserves criticism in general. And this guy says, I think you guys are dissociating the guy from EA. I totally am. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want these people who are doing a good job. I feel, personally, you might disagree with me, I feel these guys are doing a good job as well. It's the same with all sorts of game, developers or whatever who might be working for Ubisoft, for example, in Operation Breakpoint. Let's not get toxic and angry with them personally. Tell them how we feel, but without being toxic. And that's the reason why I termed it like that and tried to give them some credit, because I don't want people to use that as an excuse because there's issues with the game. I don't want people to use that as an excuse to attack people personally. If these guys are doing a good job, they should get credit for that. Yes, still raise your grievances with the game, still let them know, because that's their job. They need to know that there's problems with the game. But at the same time, let's try and be civil about it and treat these people as human beings who are just doing a job, which is what they are. That was my point, right? But I totally agree with you. These people should feel the heat so they can bring it up as well. They should feel the heat, but don't turn it up to 11. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, I'm done. That was a reasonable.
I was gonna say, it wasn't too negative.
It wasn't too negative, but I just wanted to clarify things because it required some explaining that. Yeah. So,
okay, so this is from the Ghost Recon video. 300 IQ Prower. I'm gonna need some energy drinks to talk about this bullshit again. Size, freaking mood. God, I wish you guys got more views compared to other channels. Compared to even other channels. I very much like other channels I very much like, such as Young Ye or Jimquisition. It just feels significantly more down to earth with you guys. I don't know, just think that there's an underappreciated quality. I listen to about 7+ different channels of this type, and each has a distinct field that I go in for. I suppose I nailed it down to what this channel's key quality is.
Yeah, and that's exactly how the channel was built. Couple of guys, or built on the premise that
no good, started making trouble in the neighborhood.
Demonetized. Talking about fucking hell, Henry. Just regular guys talking about gaming, spouting off shit. That is the premise of this whole operation, and it always has been, right? And all this channel is now, it facilitates us speaking our minds about things that are important to us, and that's essentially what it is. We're not here to tell people how to think. We're not here to promote any sort of anything else. We're just here as gamers, as people who enjoy this medium as a form of entertainment, and who've got thoughts and feelings on shit, and hopefully that connects with the viewers, and that's the point of it, right? We're just here, providing conversation a lot of the time. Yeah, we get shit wrong, and that's the point of it, right? Not everyone's right about not one person is right about everything. That's the point and the premise of the channel. So I'm glad that some people still acknowledge and appreciate that.
And I've said it before, a lot of channels similar to ours aim to be the voice for the community. But personally, I don't know about you, but I personally never want to be the voice for the community. I want to be the voice for me as a member of the community, because the community is full of different voices, and I don't want to assume my viewpoint is everyone else's, and I don't want to bend my viewpoint to fit theirs if I disagree.
Yeah. I think there was times in the past where maybe we did, well, personally, I did try and want to do that, but that obviously when you start out, you're quite naive. And then the more content that I produce, the more I'm like, well, other people are entitled to feel other ways and stuff, but this is how I feel. You think what you like kind of approach is the best way now, I think. So yeah, there are some times where we signal boost problems with the community, like yesterday and the day before, where we're talking about monetization problems, and we say, and I said you've got to boycott this if you feel this way. I'm not saying everyone should boycott it, but if you feel this way, the same as me, you should boycott it. And in that way, kind of trying to be a spokesperson for the community, because I'm someone who has a platform and can share that message, whereas other people, regular gamers, can't. So in a way, we kind of represent a lot of people who feel the same way, but at the same time trying not to tell other people how to think.
Yeah, I hate being told what to do, but the commenters often don't think like that and try and tell us what to do. But if you're trying to do that,
there you go.
Fuck off. Maybe you'll get featured in a podcast, but if you want to say something nice, you'll be more likely to be picked out by me, like this person, Shirubakazi. some kind of kamikaze with a Shira or something. Thanks for the vid, guys. Stay strong. And thank you for your comment, Mr. Unpronounceable Name. You stay strong too.
Thanks for the positive vibes. I think on that note, we will wrap up this podcast. Thank you for listening and supporting the channel. Every comment, every like, every interaction, every dollar pledged on Patreon is very valuable to us, because YouTube want to kill us apparently, and they want to hide us in the algorithm, and they want us to disappear for some reason, and we're out here fighting the good fight with the help of our loyal supporters. So thank you everybody who takes the time to support us in whichever way that you're able to. And on that note, thanks for watching. We will see you again in the next video, whenever that will be. Until then, bye for now.